For my Teaching Tuesday, I'm going to be showing you how to make a paleo apple cobbler. And if you don't know what paleo is, it's a diet that restricts any added grains, dairy, and processed sugars. I started eating paleo about 5 years ago when my sister tore her ACL, and then she found out she had Crohn's, which is an inflammatory bowel disease. So she could either have taken medication, which could have led to cancer, or eat paleo the rest of her life. So she decided to eat paleo, and I just kind of did it with her to kind of make it a little bit easier for her. So that's a little bit about what paleo is and why I eat it. So let's get started. You're going to want to start by preheating your oven to 350 degrees. After you preheat your oven to 350 degrees, you're going to take a 9x13 pan, and you're going to take ghee, which is like butter practically, just it's paleo, and you're going to want to take 4 tablespoons of ghee into the bottom of your pan. Once you have your ghee in your pan, you're going to place it in the oven so that it melts completely. Next, you're going to want about 10 apples per pan. So while you're waiting for your ghee to melt, you're going to want to take all your apples, and this is called an apple machine. It basically will just cut your apples for you. So what you do is you secure it to your counter, and then you want to pull this back like so, and you're going to take your apple and you're literally just going to stab it into it, and then you're going to pull the lever forward, and this you're going to spin, and it basically just peels your apple for you while cutting it as well. And then you will get this, which is just like that, and then you're going to want to take a knife. It doesn't have to be this big, but take a knife, cut it in half, and then just get a bowl for all of your apples, and you're going to do that to all of them. After you cut up all your apples with this, you're going to have like a ton of just crap left. So just throw it away, pretty simple, unless you want to use apple shavings or something. After you cut up all of your apples, you're going to need lemon juice, nutmeg, cinnamon, and honey. So the recipe calls for 1/4 cup of honey, but a more easier way to do it is you just take your honey and you just drizzle it on top, because it's really just a preferred amount of how much you want. After you put all of your honey in, you're going to take 1/4 a teaspoon of cinnamon, which you can put more or less. I typically put more cinnamon if I was making it for me. And then you're going to put 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, which I typically put a little bit less if it's me, but it's really just a preferred amount. And then lastly, for your apples, you're just going to take 1 tablespoon of lemon juice and drizzle it all on top, and you can put more or less, it doesn't really matter. Lastly, for your apples, you're just going to want to mix them together. Make sure you wash your hands first, of course, because you can do it with like something like this, but it kind of just breaks the apples apart. So wash your hands and do it with your hands. It's going to be baked anyway, so, but still, just wash your hands always. After you mix them all together, you're going to put them on a pot on the stove until they come to a boil, like in the bottom. And then once they come to a boil, you're going to put it on low and let it simmer for 10 minutes. Now that it has come to a boil, you're just going to want to make sure you put it on low. And then I just take the lid and just place that on top for 10 minutes. So next for your batter, you're going to need 1 cup of cashew butter, 3/4 cup of coconut milk, unsweetened and full fat, 3/4 cup of coconut sugar, 1/4 cup of arrowroot powder, which acts as your starch, and then 1/4 cup coconut flour, and lastly 1 tablespoon of baking soda, which if you want it to technically be paleo, you have to make your own baking soda, because from the store it has some type of grain in it. So you're just going to combine all of those ingredients into a bowl and mix it together, but since I'm making 2 batches, I'm going to double the recipe. Once you have all your ingredients in the bowl, you're going to take a whisk and just mix it all together. Your batter and your apples done, you can go ahead and take the pans out of the oven that you melted the ghee with so you can start putting it all together. Now you're going to take your apples and evenly distribute them into the pan. Now that you have the apples evenly distributed in both pans, or however many pans you're making, you're just going to take your batter and you're going to do the same thing. Probably see and tell, the batter is extremely hard to spread, so you're really just going to want to cover as much as you can, because either way you're still not going to cover everything. So once you have that all done, you're just going to place them in the oven at 350 degrees for roughly 30 to 40 minutes. It depends how well baked you want it, I guess, because I prefer 30 minutes, but the recipe says 40. So once you pull them out of the oven, they are going to look like this, and you're just going to want to make sure that you let them cool for long enough, and then they're ready to be served. To recap what you're going to need, you're going to need 4 tablespoons of ghee, and you're going to put that in your pan and put it in the oven so that it can melt. You're going to need 1/4 a cup of honey, 1/4 a teaspoon of nutmeg and cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and roughly 10 apples. And then you're going to just slice your apples, mix that all together. And then for your batter, you're going to need 1 cup of cashew butter, 1/4 a cup of coconut flour, 1/4 a cup of arrowroot powder, 3/4 a cup of coconut sugar, 3/4 a cup of coconut milk, and 1 tablespoon of baking soda. And then you're going to mix that all together. You're going to lay out your apples in your pan evenly in a 9x13 pan. And you are going to put your batter on top, put it in the oven, and bake it for roughly 30 to 40 minutes, and then it should be good to go. And after eating paleo for an ongoing about 5 years, my body just feels a lot better. I run a lot, so it's made running a lot easier, and it really helped my sister in transitioning and made it easier for her. After listening to this video, I hope you learned a little bit about what paleo is and how to make apple cobbler.